Hey YouTube, I thought I'd do a video on my travel experiences and maybe answer some questions for people that are thinking about taking medical travel assignments and what my experience has been, what to look out for, and just some of my tips and what I know to be true from my experience. Anyway, so how does travel work? Basically, you go with a travel company. You pick an agency. There's several agencies out there. I put all my trust in Cross Country. I've went with other companies, and every time I've went with another company, it's blown up in my face. In fact, one put me in a crappy apartment. I had to move 3 times within 3 months. It was HUD housing, which is fine. I'm a step above white trash, and it's not, I'm not special or anything. But they ended up firing me because they didn't like what I had to say for the third time I had to move, and I ended up suing them. One, not a big deal. And my ex-wife got into an argument with the judge over ferrets and mice, but I digress. But generally how it works is you set up with a travel company. They'll ask for shot records, things like that, resume, and find you a place to go once you get all that stuff completed. So you'll pick where you want to go. If you have multiple licenses in each state, they'll want to know that. But they'll set you up with contracts. The shortest contract I've ever seen is 1 week, which, man, you'd have to pay me a lot of money just to go someplace for 1 week. Usually they're 13 weeks, and I've had 8-week assignments, but it varies, but generally 13 weeks, sometimes 8 weeks, very rarely 4 weeks. But they're usually bringing you in for a system update, like they're changing to electronic charting, or they're expanding the hospital, or somebody's pregnant and they're going to be short-handed, short-staffed, and they just want to bring in somebody temporarily rather than hire somebody else or be short-staffed and potentially lose more people. So that's how that works. And if any of these, like if you still have a question after watching this, feel free to jump in the comments and let me know what your questions are, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. So more into how does it work? You get reimbursement to travel to and from the assignment, meaning when you start the assignment, let's say you live in Nashville, Tennessee, and you're going to Austin, Texas. So they'll pay you 40 cents a mile up to a certain monetary limit. Generally, it's $300 to $500 limit, and that's how it works. And then once you complete the assignment, you'll fill out another form, and you just basically show where you're coming from, where you're going to, and they'll calculate it. Generally, you'll max out in most cases, unless you're fortunate enough to find something local where it's not going to be a big deal as far as gas expense. But that's how it is. So this is the big issue for me. Housing versus non-housing. And I'll tell you my experiences. Obviously, I told you about one instance where I got put in crappy housing, and that was kind of the end for me. That finished it, and I just fixed it from that point on. So you can choose the housing, and they'll set it up to where they'll put furniture in, they'll put washer dryer. They'll generally, assuming that all the equipment is there or the hookups are there, they'll set you up just like you were living in a home. The problem comes in with this, and know this. So if you get stuck in a crappy assignment, you're like, I am not going to risk my license. I can't work here. These people suck, being mistreated, whatever the reason is. Understand that you're on the hook for that full 3 months because they signed a lease for a short-term contract, and you have to pay for the furniture. You have to pay for the housing that it cost you. So know that. And that's another reason I don't take the housing anymore. So if you do get stuck in a bad situation, you can just bail if you don't take the housing. So not taking the housing, it's based on IRS as far as I understand. Different places like cost of living, it'll be different amounts. Like Austin, Texas was $1,200, I believe. Seattle, Washington's $2,000. I think, what was it? Alaska was $1,550 or $1,600 or $1,700 or something. So it's different things. And also, you have to take the housing in Alaska. There's just not a huge supply of housing, and a lot of people live together because it's so expensive there. So just take the housing. Don't do what I did. My mom ended up taking an assignment in Alaska. I said, just give me the housing. I'll find a hotel. Oops. Yeah, all the hotels were booked because it was summer season, and everybody was in Alaska vacationing. Also, one more addendum on the housing. Location. They'll get you close to the hospital, generally speaking, within 15-20 minutes. That's not the problem. Know that if you go to a place like Alaska or Seattle, they do not have AC. So if you work night shift, and Alaska in the summer gets hot, Seattle gets hot too. So if you work night shift, you can't open a window if you like it pitch black like I do. So it gets hot in there, so it makes it even harder to sleep because I like it semi-cold with the fan blowing. And you can't, in Seattle, for instance, a lot of complaints from other travelers, which I stay in a camper, so it's not a big deal. I just take the money. But in Seattle, for instance, you've got all the city noise. So if you do open the window and you can tolerate a little bit of sunlight and sleep fine, you still got all the outside noise and horns blowing and things like that. So that's the big thing with housing in the Northwest and Alaska. So no, some places do not have AC, and that may be an issue. And also, non-housing, take the cash, stay in a hotel, extended stay. They have extended stay hotels or suites or whatever. Find an extended stay hotel. They usually have laundromats on site, and they've got everything you need: sink, 2 stove eyes, I think, refrigerator, shower, and a bed, which is all you really need. You're there to work and explore the area, so that's all you need. Having the license already, so it's a big deal to have the license. A lot of facilities will not wait for licensure because there's too many things that could happen as far as mail getting lost or a certain document not getting sent, which will delay your licensure. So a lot of places don't, so you may want to pick a state, pick a big one: California, Texas, Washington. Virginia and North Carolina are generally good bets. It just depends on what your occupation is. And if you're a nurse, you have compact state. So if you're in one of the compact states, you're licensed in the other, I think it was 18. So that's just food for thought, and they'll reimburse you for your license as well. Up to, I think Cross Country does up to $400. So just know that. And what to expect, like I said, you show up. Don't overestimate. Always undersell yourself internally and in the interview to some extent, because you don't want to get into a situation where you're a traveler, they're paying top dollar, and they expect you to know your stuff. Get a minimum of 2 years experience. You have to fly on your own. You will not get that much help. Like I said, 1 week orientation, and you're going to do your job, and you're going to sink or swim. In most cases, they're not going to let you drown necessarily, but they'll call your travel company and be like, this guy or girl doesn't know what he's doing. He's got to go. And they'll do it pretty fast because, again, they're paying top dollar and they expect you to know your stuff. So do not overestimate, or just know your limitations. That's the big thing. Don't oversell yourself. Know yourself. And then I'll just end with my favorite places. Favorite place, aesthetically, Seattle's probably the most aesthetically pleasing city that I've been to. My favorite city is Austin, Texas. I've been there 3 different years for 6-month stints. Most times I was extended once or twice. Generally, I'm always extended somewhere that I go to. And if they like your work and they like you, they'll keep you for as long as feasible, as long as the workload's there. Alaska, hands down. Go to Alaska. It's awesome. Go in the summer. Wintertime's going to suck because it's cold and lots of snow. My favorite city, personally, is Austin, Texas. I love that place. So if you like to party, drink, the bad thing is the traffic. Traffic's bad on I-35. Seattle's pretty bad as well. Every other place I've been to. I mean, you're going to go to a big city, so traffic's always going to be a problem. Just not a big deal, but I highly recommend Austin. That's my love. And that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, ask if I missed something, or if you have additional questions. Oh, another thing. So 2 things. So if for some reason the reimbursement for your gas mileage doesn't pay for the whole trip, you can deduct whatever mileage is left over. So if $500 will pay for 1,500 miles, but your trip was 2,000, then you can claim the 500 miles additionally on your taxes and get reimbursement through that. The other thing is, if you want a semi vacation, when you complete your travel assignment and you don't take another travel assignment, you can draw unemployment. And you can draw from any state that you've worked in. Certain states have a certain amount of hours before you can draw. But generally, any state in the country, you can draw unemployment once you complete a travel assignment. Not a lot of people know that. That's something to keep in mind. Anyway, peace out. TillyJS. Adios!